Joining us is Eric O'Neill. He's a founding partner of the Georgetown Group, a premier investigative services, diligence, and security company, also a former FBI agent portrayed by Ryan Phillippe in the movie Breach. Great to talk to you again, Eric.
Great to be on your show again, David.
So we've been following the Secret Service scandal, of course, involving now a number of some former and current Secret Service members and members of the military in Colombia. We now are getting some information from the actual prostitute who was involved in what seems to be the kind of primary altercation over payment in Colombia. My first question to you would be, what was your reaction when you heard about this story, specifically as far as the kind of internal culture of the Secret Service as it was understood by you and other members of the FBI?
One word would be disappointed. I wouldn't expect that Secret Service members who are on a site where the president is to be doing things like bringing a bunch of prostitutes to their home, and clearly not very discreetly. When you involve such a big circle of people, there's no way that you can, I can't imagine how they thought that they were ever going to hide the fact that they were doing this. And the fact that they were doing it in the first place was a severe lack of judgment.
Okay, so we heard from some people saying, former Secret Service agents saying, this isn't that unusual. More commonly it was like a party type scene after the president left, before the president arrives, maybe a little less common, but the reaction was almost like this is not that big of a deal. These weren't the agents who were going to be specifically with the president. It was the advance team. Does that type of statement resonate with you on the FBI side, or does this did anything similar, did that type of lackadaisical attitude exist within the FBI at all?
And not like that. I mean, I was in the FBI for quite some time, and I can assure you that I never even heard of a situation where FBI agents or personnel or staff were courting prostitutes. When you're off duty, government agents, government personnel are not automatons. They're not robots. When they're off duty, they get to do whatever you want to do off duty, within the constraints of the law, of course. But you still have to show proper judgment. You can't have a FBI agent or a Secret Service agent who are going off and having wild parties and getting caught out drunk doing stupid things. It reflects poorly on the entire agency.
So let's talk a little bit about the kind of national security concerns. We heard from members of Congress on both sides of the aisle shortly after this incident broke saying, well, the real concern here is not prostitutes per se, although that is a concern, but it's that these individuals certainly are privy to national security information that's of significant national security importance, where the president will be, when he will be arriving, what routes will he take, etc. And that the possibility exists that a prostitute, if she had those intentions, could maybe uncover some of that information by spending time with these individuals. Case in point, we now heard from one of the prostitutes, or I guess the prostitute who was the one involved in the primary financial altercation, saying the guy whose room she stayed in slept all night. She spent about 5 hours in the hotel room. If she had wanted to, she could certainly have ruffled through his belongings and taken any important information he may have had there. What's your thought on that?
A couple of points to respond to that. First of all, these Secret Service agents had top secret security clearance. That means that there is a level of trust placed in them to handle, protect, and be responsible for classified information. Doing something dumb like having a prostitute come to your room on site certainly was a breach of that trust. Secondly, historically and certainly today, one of the most effective methods of stealing information is by using what's called the honey trap. And that is very simply using a very attractive person, primarily females, but occasionally males if your target is a woman or someone attracted to men. But sticking with females here, prostitutes is very easy. You give them a little bit of training, just sort of what to look for while you're there. And, the simple fact of the matter is a guy who is in that situation and is very relaxed might let his guard down, might say things that he shouldn't, might reveal information he shouldn't. And I'm not saying that this is what happened, but it's certainly possible that a cartel, another intelligence service, a foreign intelligence service that's opposed to us, could have hired or used prostitutes to do something like this. Now,
so in short, we can say it wouldn't be unprecedented to use a prostitute to try to get close to someone with this kind of information.
In fact, it's happened quite quite a deal in the past. It's one of the most common uses of spy operations, a honey trap.
Okay, so then what about the counter to that, which would be these guys are operating in a way where they're not just going to have pieces of paper which say, President Obama security detail, here's where we'll stand, here's where the president will walk, etc. That the information would be either encrypted or being carried in some kind of hidden way where somebody just ruffling through a wallet isn't going to come across that information? Or is that an unreasonable kind of counterpoint?
Yeah, I can't say what they had in the room. It's possible that there could be laptops that someone with a slight bit of training could access or could copy a hard drive while the guy is sleeping off his, post doing his business with the prostitute. There could be a map with a route. You can't know what was there. There could have been nothing. But the fact is that there could be something. And here, when you are conducting an intelligence operation, and say that this was a honey trap, where there's an intelligence operation to try and determine the typical way that the President of the United States moves around. This could be an operation that takes, months or a year. And so you get every little tiny piece you can. When did you fly in? That's intelligence. What's the president's favorite color? That's intelligence. Where do the president's kids go to school? Anything that these guys might be privy to because of what they do, and the fact that they have top secret clearance means that they're privy to quite a bit. Any little bit of information they may inadvertently let slip. If indeed this was a situation where these people are trained operatives, now it's quite possible and probably likely they were just prostitutes.
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is they could have been trained operatives, or even poorly trained operatives, just debriefed later by trained operatives. You just have to be careful, and when you're given that level of trust, you just have to be extra careful, more than a normal citizen.
One question I got from a lot of people when we first started talking about the story, and I don't know the answer, maybe you do, is whether Secret Service agents, particularly those that are working on the advance team who are there ahead of the president, scouting and making preparations, are they are they under assumed identities? Are they just themselves? Are they working under some kind of cover? I mean, do you have a sense of what would be typical for a Secret Service advance team?
Typically they're acting low key. They're not walking around in dark suits with earpieces and holding firearms, escorted by local police, doing things. They want to be low key. They want to see what areas look like. They want to know where potential areas a sniper could be, what types of buildings they need to lock down, how they have to change traffic. They really need to go in carefully and quietly. That doesn't mean that they're going in completely undercover. But usually they're not running around saying, hey, we're Secret Service, we're here, setting up the place for the president to show up.
And in certain cases, is it possible that depending on the perceived friendliness of the local police in that area, that they may not even be revealed as Secret Service to local police, at least not until far closer to the president's arrival? Is that a possible scenario?
It's possible, but usually you want to, the Secret Service works a little bit differently than, say, the FBI or the CIA. But usually you want the assistance of local police. Otherwise, you can run into trouble when you're questioning people in buildings or walking through buildings to see sight lines to where the president's going to be, or determine the optimal places to take the president in the case of an emergency. You run into police problems when they don't know you're there.
Absolutely. We've been speaking with Eric O'Neill, founding partner of the Georgetown Group and former FBI agent. Awesome to get your insights on this. Thanks for being back on with us.